GearNetwork.com.
Hey everyone, John Cimino here for the Gear Radio Network, and you have asked and asked repeatedly, what is up with the app? We know you have one, and you never push it, you never do anything with it. Well, guess what? We got a better one, and it is free, it is absolutely available for you, and there's so much more you can do with it. Visit GearNetwork.com and click Get the App. It's up on the top banner, or if you're feeling really brave, head to GearNetwork.mobapp.at on your mobile phone and your mobile phone's browser, and you can take Gear Network with you wherever you go. Listen to every show on the Gear Network right from the app. You can view all of our social networks in real time. You can read Gear Network and BLTDsports.com blogs in real time. And you can also shop Amazon and help us out and help you out. It is free. Did I mention that? Again, GearNetwork.com or GearNetwork.mobapp.at. Download it right now. This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Mr. Perez, and you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you exclusively on Gear Network. Listen in.
We are live right now, episode number 81 of the Better Live Than Dead podcast. I am one half of the hosts, Ryan Wolf, at WolfBLTD on Twitter. Joining me on the line, the other half of the hosting crew, Mr. Perez, at MRLG Perez. How you doing today, man?
Episode 81. I'm cool, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing real good. I'm just hanging out, getting over another cold, which I think is the same. Meet the new cold, the same as the old cold. You know, kind of like I think it was at the Who. Meet the new boss,
right.
Same as the old boss, or something like that. Yeah, that's it. Me right here. I'm.
Well, you know what I've noticed.
What's that?
Is that with the fluctuations we're having right now with weather, a lot of people are getting sick, and the sickness is holding on for, several weeks. Like my wife has, I think, been kind of sick for like 3 months now.
I was gonna say I had a stomach thing. One day it was a stomach thing, and then it was just kind of a cold, and then it went away, and I decided I wanted to drink a couple beers. So instead of taking Sudafed, I drank like 2 or 3 beers, and then, I felt fine the next day. And then the day after that, I woke up and my head felt like a bowling ball, and it's just been a lot of like sinus pressure. My head's trying to drain and it won't drain. Very stuffed up, chest coughing stuff up, the usual. But I'm actually taking some like Sudafed Plus, so it's got acetaminophen in it, and it's got the Sudafed medication in it, so it'll not only make my head feel better, but it will kind of cut down on the crap. And I left work early yesterday on Tuesday because I just couldn't deal. I had PTO. It's never fun to have to use your PTO to leave work to go home sick, but
right.
Last week I missed a day and a half of work and didn't get paid for it because I didn't have PTO. So it's that was when I was sick. I got to work and I had like cold chills and my body ached and it felt like I got hit with a bat. And I came back to work a couple days later and everyone's like, "Wow, you look so much better. You looked horrible then." And I was like, thank you for telling me that. I really do appreciate it. You're so thoughtful.
That's what happens when you're sick.
I'm like, why didn't you tell me then? Because I would have left. If everyone's like, "You look like crap," I would have been like, maybe I should go home. Because usually, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm tough. I got this. I'll do this. No big deal.
Right.
And then people will be like, "Yo, you probably should shut it down. Like you look horrid." But no one said it to me until afterwards.
Right. Speaking of beer, last week I had a beer called Hot Chocolate. It was a chocolate stout or a chocolate porter that was infused with ghost pepper.
That would turn my stomach into hot chocolate, if you're catching my drift.
Oh my God, it was awesome. It was delicious. It's not one of those beers you could drink a whole lot of. But it was pretty darn delicious.
I'm not into beers like that. Like, I don't, if I'm going to drink a beer, I'm going to have, I don't know, I'm going to have something good that I can just chill and sip on and enjoy it, because I'm not trying to slam a beer, but I'm also trying not to be disgusted by it. But I don't really care about too much about beer, man. Like, it doesn't make me feel very good. And, like, I'll have a beer. Like, if I go out to dinner or something, I'll have a beer. I think we've talked about this before, but I'll have a beer and be good. Or, like, if a friend wants to go out to the bar, I'll go out and have a beer.
Right.
But, like, my days of drinking beers, no, never, not happening. I drank like too much. I drank like 13 beers on my sister's birthday just because I stopped counting and kept drinking. Felt that horrible in a long time.
That's what happens, man, if you're not careful. I had last week when I had that chocolate stout with the ghost pepper, I think I had that and 4 hard ciders. I love hard cider. We were at a place called the Beer Market up in College Town, and they have like 500 beers.
Jesus.
It's awesome. It's like beer paradise. We have like 50 of them on tap, which is phenomenal.
I mean, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I can't get drunk, so if I go out and I have a couple beers, I'm good. And then we went to my sister-in-law's house after that and made this Bailey's Irish cream mousse with crumbled Oreo cookies.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
that was pretty phenomenal, too.
Good Lord, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome. Good night last week.
Sorry, I'm getting text messages as I'm trying to podcast here.
Let's just I didn't pay for any of it.
So, sorry, I'm like I said, I shouldn't multitask while I'm podcasting. It's never a good idea. But hey, let's talk about. We're going to start off with hockey. You know, because again, I was saying to you about this before the podcast, Lewis, and I'm sure people will agree with me once I mention it. We've kind of reached the dead zone of the sports season, where there's sports are happening, sprotzes are happening right now. But there's not a whole lot actually like happening in those sports, because hockey, I mean, we've got the trade deadline, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. And in basketball, I mean, it's just playing towards the playoffs. Obviously, football's over. Baseball's in spring training, so there's not a whole lot to talk about in baseball. But we have a couple things. We have a couple things about football to talk about, but nothing too severe. We're not talking about NASCAR because they're just a bunch of they're piles of garbage. I don't know if you heard, but NASCAR came out and openly backed Donald Trump for president, so they can just go piss up a rope at this point. In soccer, I mean, the Premier League is in full effect. You know, we're getting towards the end of the season in the next couple months, but I mean, MLS is just, you know, they're starting their preseason here shortly, but there's really not a whole lot going on in terms of impact making stuff in sports that we talk about. So I just have to be better and find topics to discuss, which this week I just totally mailed it in because I was busy today. But we've got some stuff to talk about. First off, we can talk about the trade deadline, which I was at the First Niagara Center representing BLTD Sports for the entire day. I got there at about 9:30 in the morning, and sat there until 4:30 in the afternoon, and the Buffalo Sabres made one trade. The trade deadline this year was very, 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 very quiet. Now, yes, it was. Now, a lot of people are, and myself included, are drawing that to the fact that teams don't want to trade their first round draft pick because of the new lottery rules, where they pick the order, they pick the top. Like you have one lottery for the top 3, and then once you're in the top 3, they have another lottery to determine the top 3 picks. So at this point, you know, the lottery's different. It's like basketball now. How they do their draft lottery. So people were kind of hesitant to give up a first-round pick. We saw 7 second-round picks change hands, which is astounding. I mean, we can talk about the Buffalo Sabres trade in just a moment, but It was a weird day because a lot of quiet, not a lot of rumblings, not even a lot of rumors. I mean, everything was just radio silence. There were a lot of deals that happened on last Saturday, obviously before the deadline, and a lot of people said that may have been the trade deadline because some teams got spooked and started making big deals. And I mean, with the way the salary cap is, it may flatten out. It may not go up. It may not go down next season. A lot of teams are trying to they're keeping an eye on stuff now and trying to set themselves up so they don't have themselves in a bad spot in the future, because there's going to be some teams in this offseason, if the cap stays the same, there are going to be some teams that have to shed some cap, and that's going to be a lot of fun then, but maybe the draft will be exciting, but right now. But the one move the Buffalo Sabres made, not too surprising, they deal forward Jamie McGinn, a pending unrestricted free agent, to the Anaheim Ducks for a conditional third-round draft pick. Now, if the Ducks make the conference final this season, and McGinn plays in 50% of the postseason games, it's going to be a second-round pick in 2017, which would give the Buffalo Sabres 3 second-round picks in 2017. If that doesn't happen, or say they make the conference final, but McGinn doesn't play 50% of the games, or they don't make the conference final, the Buffalo Sabres get a third-round pick this year, which would give the Buffalo Sabres 4 third-round picks this season, which is astounding. But as myself and Brayton Wilson talked about on the most recent BLTD Extracast, which you should check out if you have a chance, we discussed, again, Tim Murray talking about having draft pick currency and prospect currency to make trades for NHL-ready players or NHL veterans to make this Buffalo Sabres team better, because they need top 6 scoring. They need top 6 scoring depth, because as we see, Ryan O'Reilly goes down, the Sabres can't score a goal to save their lives. They need to improve the depth in the bottom 6, but they also need a top 4 defenseman. And the way to get a top 4 defenseman, players and picks, because the draft is very fluid at the draft. You can trade picks with relative ease at the draft. So with the Sabres having so many, they may be able to pull off a few moves. Plus, the draft is in Buffalo this year, so you know Buffalo Sabres general manager Tim Murray will almost feel obliged to give the fans something to chew on. And I'm thinking, it may not happen during the draft, but it may happen on the draft floor the day of the draft. The Sabres may make a blockbuster trade, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. They did it last year with Ryan O'Reilly and Jamie McGinn. That's when they got McGinn. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that again this year. But looking at the rest of the deadline, I would have to say, in my expert opinion, the Chicago Blackhawks, hands down, are the winners of the trade deadline, and they didn't even make any big moves at the deadline. They made them all before the deadline.
Right.
They picked up Andrew Ladd, reacquired. Obviously Andrew Ladd was in Winnipeg, but they brought Andrew Ladd back to Chicago, gives them some more depth on the forward front. They acquired defenseman Christian Ehrhoff and acquired forward Dale Weiss and Tomas Fleischmann, which, again, crazy amounts of depth for the Chicago Blackhawks. One thing that I am intrigued by, they also acquired Dennis Robertson, but that's just a minor deal. I am intrigued by what Florida did, but what the Florida Panthers did. They went out and they acquired in 45 minutes Yuri Hudler, Teddy Purcell, and Jakob Kindl. Now,
that was a busy 45 minutes.
Yeah, they were also playing a game while it happened, too. So 3 trades in 45 minutes while they were playing a game. You can obviously tell their GM was very busy not paying attention to the game that was happening. But
right,
I think with those moves, Florida's not necessarily going all in on this postseason. But they have a lot of veterans, as we know. We've seen, they have guys like Jaromir Jagr, Roberto Luongo, Brian Campbell, to name a few. But they have a lot of kids in that team. And when it comes to younger hockey teams, you may not win the cup, but having a couple playoff wins or a playoff series win under your belt will work wonders for your confidence. And it's one of those things where in hockey, in any sport really, you have to learn how to win in the playoffs by playing in the playoffs, by winning in the playoffs. I guess that sounds cliche enough for you, but Florida, if Florida can pick up those three guys and win a playoff series, I mean that's huge because it puts more money in their pocket. Plus, it shows these kids what they have to do and to get back. And hey, if they lose to a better team, which they probably will. I mean, they're one of the best in the East right now, but there are teams in the East that when playoff time rolls around, they're going to be good because they are just a playoff. They were built for the playoffs.
Right.
One of those teams I look at is the New York Rangers, who just acquired Eric Stahl. I mean, that's a bold move. They paid a lot for him, but a prospect. But it's something where if it pays off, it may be the move that push the ship in the right direction for a team like New York. So we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of hockey left to be played. We've got about roughly 20 games for every team, give or take a few on the positive or negative side of that. But a lot of hockey left to be played. So we'll find out who the pretenders and the contenders are coming up. I mean, we've already got a pretty good idea. Like Washington is pretty damn good. Dallas is falling on some hard times lately, but they're still good. You got the Blackhawks. Trying to think. I just completely went blank there for a second. But I would say right now it's leaning towards a Chicago-Washington final, but we don't often see 1-1, so something may come up either side where we have some excitement, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I mean, if you had to ask me, I think the Stanley Cup playoffs are the most exciting playoff series in any sport out there, just because hockey is such an intense sport, and when it's played at that high of a level, it's just I can't turn the TV off. It's so damn good.
Yeah, man, I've been watching some games lately, and there's been some awesome games going on, and I think the playoffs are probably going to be a really good playoffs.
Sorry, I had to grab some water there. Right before we started the podcast, before I got on the phone with you, I actually had like a coughing fit where I could not stop coughing for about 5 minutes, and it's just get a dry spot and got to keep. So I'm trying to keep my throat lubricated as much as I possibly can to make sure this podcast, I don't sound like an asshole on the podcast.
It's all good.
Moving over to football now. Reports out of Denver are mixed, but rumors have it the Denver Post said that Peyton Manning is set to retire in the next week or two. Adam Schefter redacted that report and said, or counteracted that report with a report of his own saying Peyton wants to play, he needs to find a team. And I'm not sure if there is a team right now in the National Football League that would be, I mean, someone will take him based on his name, but besides that, I don't really think there's any positivity he brings to your franchise, aside from maybe like mentoring a young quarterback. But how much is one season of that going to do?
Right, and we know he doesn't like to mentor young quarterbacks.
Exactly. Excuse me, but we'll see. There's more on that front. We'll see what happens. Speaking of talented quarterbacks, New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady extends his contract until 2019, where he'll be 42 years old. I don't see any reason why Tom Brady can't play to 42, maybe even longer. If he is still effective, he might be able to play longer. I mean, he's done a very good job of keeping himself in pretty damn good shape. And I mean, I honestly, it pains me because I'm not a very big Patriots fan, but he's one of the greatest ever that we'll ever see. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins another championship or two, but especially now with Peyton and I mean the Denver defense is still really good, but a year older, a year wiser type of thing where you might be able to break down that Denver defense and figure them out. And I mean, Tom Brady, like I said, one of the greatest we've ever seen, and it's a treat to have him around longer. I know Bills fans are probably going to snicker at me for that, but when you get the greats in the game, like we've talked about it. I'm a Red Sox fan, but seeing Derek Jeter play, I mean, not in his later years, but watching Derek Jeter play in his prime, it's a treat because you're seeing one of the greatest. one of the greatest ever to play the game. So, it's respect is where respect is due. And like a couple of days ago when the Sabres played the Edmonton Oilers and we got to watch Connor McDavid, and people were pissed off about Connor McDavid. And it's like he's one of the greatest talents we've seen come into the game in a long time. Appreciate it because that's what you have to do. Like when the Sabres play other teams, people watch Jack Eichel in awe because he's such a talented player, but Connor McDavid's that much better. He is truly a generational talent, and that's a guy like Tom Brady. You hate to watch him win, but you have nothing but respect for the guy because he's so good at what he does.
Yeah, dude, I can't lie. You're telling the truth. You're telling the truth. I agree with everything you just said.
I appreciate
but I do
that.
feel bad for the Bills fans.
Yeah, when the Bills are contending, then maybe I'll feel bad, but I don't feel bad. It's gonna be very nice this year to not watch football. I look forward to it. I absolutely look forward to not watching football. And not having my heart ripped out and stomped on every single week because essentially being a Bills fan is the definition of insanity. I'm serious. Like what did let me get the exact quote here for you, Lewis, because I love this quote so much. It was said by one Albert Einstein. Quote, "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's being a Bills fan." Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's being a Buffalo sports fan. You watch every year, they get their hopes up. Every single goddamn year, every single August if it's hockey, or September if it's hockey, or August or September if it's July, August, September if it's Bills stuff. And you watch fans get hyped up about, hey, the Bills went out and picked up some mediocre linebacker. He's going to be, the next someone. He's going to be the next, I don't know. I can't think of a great linebacker right now because my brain is Jell-O pudding. But you get a defensive end. Oh, he's the next Bruce Smith. No, shut the hell up. You get a quarterback. Oh, he's the next Jim Kelly. No, stop. Because when January rolls around and the Bills are, 6-10 and they're not playing they're playing meaningless football games, like, yeah, it's the same exact thing over and over again. Now, like I said, when the Bills make the playoffs, I'll watch. No doubt about it. But until then, I could give a damn. Seriously.
Yeah, man. It makes me chuckle every year because obviously I know a lot of Bills fans, and every year, like, the Bills will win, like, the first 2 games of the season, and their fans will be like, "It's our year. This is it. We're going to win it all this year." And I'm always like, "Yeah, calm down, people. It's what they've done for the last 8 seasons in a row. Relax."
Yeah, exactly. I'm just look at. Why is my phone making noises? I was brought to the light. I didn't think about what footballless life was like because I always watch football every single weekend like a putz, and it's to the point now where I don't watch it, and it's you can do so much stuff on a Sunday. Like I would go to an art gallery, or I would go out and see a movie, or I would go do something I enjoy. Because obviously watching the Bills fail every single week is just not fun at all.
I love sports. I love football. I love the teams that I love. I just don't let it affect me like that.
I just don't watch sports because I hate people talking about sports. Like tonight, for instance, a stupid-ass Bills fan got a Super Bowl champions 2016-27 tattoo on his chest. Like, what are you doing? Do you have 6 brain cells in your head? Are you a moron? Like, what did I miss?
That's pretty stupid.
Yeah, stupid does not even begin to describe it. Seriously, like it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. That's ridiculous.
Now I want to move. I want to move forward. I want to. Oh, what was that? I'm sorry.
You know what? We're not that dumb, fortunately.
I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know. Moving over to some franchise tags real fast. The Jets tag Muhammad Wilkerson. The Baltimore Ravens tag Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers in the game. Buffalo Bills tackle Cordy Glenn, which is a smart move. He's top 10 left tackle. And, it's a smart move there. The Bears tag wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey. Not really a no-brainer because they are not sold on him with his recent rash of injuries, but I mean he is absolutely talented, and if he gets healthy, I mean he's key to that offense if they have him. But Carolina Panthers tag cornerback Josh Norman, one of the key cogs in the machine of that Carolina Panthers defense this year that helped get them to the Super Bowl. Miami Dolphins tag defensive end Olivier Vernon. It's a transition tag, but same thing that happened with Charles Clay last year. But I certainly think that there's a lot of smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and it sounds like he could be leaving Miami. Denver Broncos throw the exclusive franchise tag on Von Miller. Not a surprise. There's a lot of talk that he could be getting a massive deal. Apparently, he wants well over $60 million guaranteed, and why not? I mean, he's one of the greatest players in the league right now. Get the money while you can, because football's going to break you down. Washington tags quarterback Kirk Cousins on a non-exclusive franchise tag, but it sounds like he's going to sign that here real quick, so he'll remain a Washington quarterback. Chiefs tag safety Eric Berry, again, no-brainer there. And Trumaine Johnson, cornerback for the Rams, was also tagged, not exclusively, but it looks like he'll be sticking around in Los Angeles. So, a couple other things before we move on to baseball. Two big cuts, both of which not too surprising. First off, after 11 seasons with the franchise, 808 catches for 10,863 yards, Roddy White cut by the Atlanta Falcons. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, a little bit. He's been there so long, I would have thought that they would have at least let him retire with that franchise. But at the same time, it doesn't. The Falcons have really struggled the last couple seasons. And even when they seem like they're going to be good, they do something to mess up, So, yeah, I am surprised. I thought he'd be there forever. But that's the business now,
I mean, I absolutely agree. It's something where they tried to make it work and it couldn't work, and it just continued to not work. And he hasn't totally been healthy these past couple years. I mean, when he's healthy, he's effective. As most players in NFL are. But one of those things where it just didn't work out, and they needed to move on, and that's really what happens. Speaking of that, not working out and moving on. The Buffalo Bills make it official, cut defensive end Mario Williams, who had his worst season of his career, worst full season of his career since his rookie year. The last time he had 5 sacks in a season was 2011 when he played 5 games. He got injured. Mario has been healthy. He missed 1 game this season, but he played 3 straight years, 16 games apiece. In his time with the Bills, he had I'm trying to do the math in my head here. It looks like 43 sacks he had with the Buffalo Bills, which is not bad at all in 4 seasons. Right now, Mario has 96 career sacks in total. no reason to think he won't get a nice deal to play for a very good football team coming up here soon. He's still a very talented football player. Just the problem with Mario Williams, the Buffalo Bills defense, is he was just a square peg in a round hole, and it didn't seem like they were willing to work their defense around him. They wanted him to work around the defense, and as we've seen, Mario Williams is not a linebacker, and they wanted Mario Williams to play linebacker, and Mario Williams is a defensive end. He's a guy who puts his hand in the dirt or in the field turf and rolls off the edge and crushes the quarterback. He's not a guy who's going to drop back into coverage and do all that stuff, and that's what they wanted to do, and that's why he ended up with 5 sacks this year.
Yeah, man. This year it definitely seemed like Rex Ryan just didn't know what to do with the dude, which is too bad because he's dominant. He's awesome. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up.
I lost you there for a second. What were you saying?
I said, yeah, it's too bad because it definitely seemed like Rex Ryan didn't know what to do with him this year, which is too bad because he's really dominant. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up going.
I mean, it's an end of an era for the Buffalo Bills. Mario Williams was part of that defensive resurgence. I remember I was working at the hotel still, obviously, because that was the only job I've ever had, and I worked there for a third of my life. Mario Williams, I remember when he came to Buffalo on a free agent visit, and it was live and local on WGR all day long, just reporting on everything about Mario Williams, how he came on a private jet, how, don't let him leave town. He met with Jim Kelly, and Jim Kelly's like, I'll take you hunting and all this stuff. And then Mario met with the team, and the rest is history. He signed a gigantic deal. At the time, seemed ridiculous kind of for the Bills because they were very mediocre. But he helped that defense. He helped improve that defense. I mean, leaps and bounds. Aside from this year, they were one of the greatest defenses in the league, each year. And it's like I said, it sucks because it's an end of an era with Mario Williams, but hopefully it's an addition by subtraction because you cut Mario, you get $13 million in cap space. For a team that's kind of tough on cap space or short on cap space, you can go back out and reallocate those funds other places of need, and try to make that defense better. Try to get guys who fit the system and go from there. I mean, that's really all you can do in this situation.
That's true.
Now, moving over to Major League Baseball. We're talking baseball.
We're talking baseball.
Yeah, boy. Last week, we reported Dexter Fowler was a Baltimore Oriole. Well, we were wrong. Everybody was wrong because Dexter Fowler overnight decided to go re-sign in Chicago. Apparently, Baltimore jumped the gun in announcing the deal. And excuse me, that made him very mad. So he spurned them, and then the best part is he did like a WWE-esque angle. Nobody knew about it except for the Cubs who signed him. The players on the Cubs didn't even know. And Dexter Fowler walked out into practice the day after he signed with the Cubs, and everyone was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, you didn't hear? I'm a Cub again." And they were like, "Sure. Welcome back, buddy." I think that's fantastic.
That is pretty good.
Now, moving on to the next bit of news here. The league kills the neighborhood play at second base. This is interesting because before guys got benefit of the doubt on double plays, and it's interesting to see how this is going to work out because the suicide slides, the takeout slides are going to end. You have to go into second base cleats down. If you go cleats up, you're automatically out. And you can't slide out of the base path. If you slide through the guy, you can do that. But if you go out of the way to tackle a guy, you're out. And I don't know if both guys are out, if just one guy's out, but we'll see what happens as the season goes on. Because I didn't really understand the rule. Just a lot of words on a paper. But they're trying their best, as we've talked about in past weeks. They're trying their best to make second base, safer for second baseman, safer for shortstop, so guys aren't getting barreled over and breaking their legs and blowing out their knees just to try to complete a double play.
Yeah. That's probably a good rule change. For the most part.
We'll see. Again, we'll see what happens. Because it's one of those things where, get off my lawn, don't change my sport type of deal, where everyone gets all up in arms and mad about it because they don't want to see baseball change. But the things that they've changed in baseball recently have made the sport better. I mean, the time clock for better, people said for better, for worse, it's here, but it's actually been for better. It's made baseball more watchable. The game flows better. I mean, yeah, when there's a timeout for a challenge or something, it's not the greatest, but for the most part, baseball has gotten more. I mean, I'll watch a 4-hour baseball game any day. Sit around or clean the house, and I'll be listening to a game on the radio or something. I'm down for that. 2-hour game because you don't have 5 minutes between innings and stuff like that, or pitchers, waiting 3 minutes between pitches takes 30 minutes to complete a half inning, and nobody scores. It's one of those things where you get excited, and I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited where baseball's headed, and I think this is just another step in the right direction for Major League Baseball.
I think the stop clock's a good idea myself.
I believe they shorten it between innings even more. Like mound visits have to be shorter, between pitches is shorter, and between innings is shorter, which is cool.
Yeah, no, it is cool, and it definitely. I like baseball anyway, but there were times when the games were getting kind of just stupid long.
See any Red Sox Yankee game ever? Yeah.
Right. So. These will probably be good changes.
I absolutely agree. Moving on to Ian Desmond, man. What a rough couple years this guy's had. Now, in 2014, Ian Desmond turned down a 7-year, $107 million deal offer from the Washington Nationals. He said, no, I don't want that. I'm worth more. Last November, he turned down a 1-year, $15.8 million qualifying offer to become a free agent. And a couple days ago, he agreed to a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Texas Rangers. Now, he has to move. He's moving to left field to play in Texas because he is a shortstop. Excuse me, but he's turned down, according to this article on USAToday.com, he has turned down a combined $122.8 million over the last 2 years. And I quote from the article, after declining the long-term offer from Washington, he hit .233, 290 on-base percentage, and I think .283 OPS with 19 homers and 62 RBIs. From 2012 to 2014, Desmond produced an average WAR of 4.5. In 2015, that number dipped to 1.7.
I bet he wished he took that $100 million from the Nationals. Yeah,
I mean, he's going to try to make back some of the cash he lost, but dude, holy hell and a half.
Right. $8 million, $100 million.
Hey, speaking of money, real fast. I know we're gonna go back to football. Let me get this guy popped up real quick. I don't think if we're talking about players making bank, Ian Desmond is bad luck, right? But Sam Bradford is just one of the luckiest guys when it comes to making coin in the National Football League. He just we forgot to mention this in the NFL. I just didn't really care to talk about Sam Bradford, but since we're talking about money, we'll talk about money. He's going to stay in Philadelphia, 2 years, $36 million, incentives that make it up worth $40 million. So it says here the deal means Bradford will make at least $100 million in his first 8 NFL seasons and as much as $118 million. Quote, not bad for a quarterback who has a paltry 78 to 52 career touchdown to interception ratio and not a single start in the playoffs. Now that's because he was in the draft where quarterbacks were getting guaranteed, $70, $80 million out of, or 50, 60 out of the gate, and then they were getting contracts that were ridiculously gigantic and long before they set the NFL rules up. But for every Sam Bradford, there is an Ian Desmond.
That's a true story. Good
Last
for Sam.
Last thing in baseball before we move on. New York Yankee closer Aroldis Chapman suspended 30 games for a domestic violence incident that took place this offseason. Again, Major League Baseball is making changes. This is one of the changes, and I am very, very, very pleased. Not because I'm a Red Sox fan, but because I'm a fan of change. I'm a fan of getting better. I'm a fan of more understanding. And it's come to the point in time where I've gotten so sick of this stuff happening that I've stopped watching sports. I've stopped following teams because when stuff like this happens, when a player is involved in a domestic violence issue and nothing comes of it and the guy gets away with it, that's a major turnoff because I know it's sports or a business, but you need to hold people accountable for the things that they do. Just because they're a professional athlete does not mean they're invincible. So good on Major League Baseball for enforcing a 30-game ban. Being a closer, he's not going to miss. He'll miss maybe 10 appearances maybe. But it's a good step in the right direction. Now we need to see what happens next. Like with Jose Reyes, unfortunately, because obviously we're not trying to wish domestic violence happens. That would be stupid. But you need to you judge off of a scenario. You say, okay, this happened. I get that. That's a big deal. Like this is a big deal. The 30 games is a big suspension. But it's one of those things where we need to see what happens the next time this happens, like I said. And Jose Reyes currently is out of baseball pending the investigation, pending a police investigation, all that stuff, completing for a domestic violence incident. So we'll see if the hammer falls harder on Jose Reyes, if he's actually charged with domestic violence. Aroldis Chapman was not. He was cleared of all charges, but something clearly did happen. Major League Baseball did the right thing and suspended him. So we'll keep an eye on this as time goes on, but I'm glad to see Major League Baseball making a change for the better.
Yeah, I mean, if something truly did happen, then yeah, that individual should have some type of consequence because that's not cool. But at the same token, if there's an investigation and they find the guy didn't do anything, then you should let the guy play.
Well, clearly there was enough. There was clearly enough here to suspend him. There may not have been enough to. Let's put it this way. I'm just glad that they didn't back down because we've seen it happen before in like football, where he didn't do it, he got away because players get away with a lot of stuff. But I'm glad that where there's smoke, there's fire. They did their investigation. Major League Baseball was comfortable enough suspending him 30 games, and Aroldis Chapman accepted the 30-game suspension and said he won't appeal, apologized for everything he did, whatever that means. But I'm just glad that there's change happening, and they're not it's not lip service. It's actually something they're taking and putting into place and making it happen.
I agree.
What are you seriously?
But you were saying you were glad that they took it. They took it, and then you paused. So then I said seriously.
Oh,
they were taking it seriously.
Yeah, I'm glad they're taking it seriously, and they're not just. It's like I love hockey, but hockey is hockey and football they're getting better, but they're still really bad at it. Like they're too. It seems like they're too afraid to make a stand and say, "Look, people come before sports." Like we need to do something. We need to make something happen, not just stand around with our thumbs up our asses and say, oh, nothing happened, so we're not going to do anything. No, you have to be the person that says, we don't care, we don't want this stuff happening, we don't want these people representing our brand. So you put us in a bad spot, get the hell out of here for a while.
You know my position on that.
We've already talked about this. We talked about this ad nauseum.
If something happens, they should be punished to the nth degree. If nothing happened, then they shouldn't be punished.
One last thing we forgot to mention, but I do want to talk about it real quick. Cliff Lee retires this week, or apparently is ending his comeback. Not retiring officially, but writing's on the wall. If you remember correctly, he won the Cy Young back in 2008. A resurgent Cliff Lee, coming off of a season where he was 5-8 with a 6.29 ERA, figured it out. 22-3 with a 2.54 ERA in 2008, as I mentioned, Cy Young Award winner. Ends up going to Philadelphia through Seattle, Texas, ends up back in Philadelphia. Plays 5 years for the Phillies. In those 5 years, he went 48-34, 2.94 ERA, but he was one of the most dominant pitchers we've seen in a long time. Had a season where, he went 2011, 7-8, or 17-8, 2.40 ERA. He was one of the best lefties we've seen in a while. Unfortunately, took him a while to put it together. I mean, he had some flashes of dominance in Cleveland in 2005. He had an 18-5 record. 2004, he was 14-8. Then he kind of scuffled again. It seems like he hit some tough times, but not a bad career for a guy who essentially remade his game and remade himself.
Yeah, no, he definitely was pretty dominant. I'm glad he was able to come back and play the way he did. But, everyone's got to step aside at some point.
And now we're going to move on.
Brady.
What's up?
I said, unless, of course, your name's Tom Brady, then you can just play.
On to some just life stuff now. I'm going to talk about some life stuff. First off, Agent Carter ended this week. It was fantastic. If you haven't watched that yet, I would suggest getting on that. There's some rumors that this season, the second season, maybe the last season of Agent Carter, which would be a shame because the show's very good. The way the season ended was fantastic. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back next week, and I mentioned that because, first off, I'm hype as hell. I saw a commercial for it, and Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart was a song in the commercial. And if anybody knows me, they know I love Motley Crue, and I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So when two of my favorite things come together, that's like a brain overload, and I was freaking out, dude. There is no way this is happening right now.
The season ending was pretty good. I enjoyed the season ending. I was glad to see that they finally put some Inhumans together as a team. It'll be
apparently in the second half of the show, as we've seen on. I don't know if you've seen the teaser, but I've seen it 5 or 6 times now because I keep watching it. The Inhumans are apparently taking over, and that is going to be one hell of a show because we've been building up and building up and building up, and now it's actually here and it's actually going to happen. That is exciting to me.
What they did with Ward was very interesting.
I'm excited to see where that goes too.
Yeah, me too. Now, to be honest with you, I'm kind of the only thing I'm a little leery about is how many Inhumans there are, because they're definitely strayed away from the comic book gene of Inhumans, which is fine. It happens. But I was surprised.
They haven't done us wrong yet, And for that, I give them the benefit of the doubt for most things because they haven't done anything out of the ordinary, anything crazy where you wonder and you shake your head and you go, no, that's not right, or that doesn't feel right. It's just what they do flows, what they do feels good. It just feels like it should be what's happening, and that's at least what I enjoy about it. It doesn't feel too out of the ordinary, too ridiculous.
Right.
And like I said, the story, this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been fantastic.
I will admit, I was surprised that it was Maeve's estranged husband who was the Inhuman that was killing all the other Inhumans.
It's funny because when I was watching it with Tori a while back, she called it like a couple episodes into the season, and then when it happened, absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, normally I can call stuff like that, and maybe I just didn't care enough to call it, but I was like, oh, all right, there we go.
It made things certainly more exciting. Now, I want to mention something else here. One of my favorite bands, and I know I'm making this all about me today, but one of my favorite bands here, the Foo Fighters, posted a cryptic tweet 21 hours ago on the Twitter bots. It's Wednesday, as we mention all the time. They just say, official band announcement tomorrow night, stay tuned. Now, we're still waiting for that official band announcement, but from everything we've seen, it's not going to be good. There's a lot of rumors that the Foo Fighters aren't going to break up, but there are some rumors that the Foo Fighters are going to indefinitely take an indefinite hiatus, which Taylor Hawkins referred to as an I hate us That's what the band is apparently calling it, because he says we could go in the studio tomorrow and make a new album, but we just feel like we've given the world too much to the Foo Fighters. We need to take some time for ourselves. Now, that's one of the stories I've seen. The other story I saw is that that's not true, and they're going to announce something gigantic coming up here. So either way, I mean, because it could be Sonic Highway Season 2, which is what they were talking about. But, again, the rumor was Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins had a falling out, and then Dave Grohl did the performance at the Oscars over the weekend, and that was apparently the start of his solo career. Which, again, if Dave Grohl goes solo and makes a solo album, it's going to be fantastic, because it'll be Dave Grohl with all of his friends, which sign me up for, because it would just be a gigantic supergroup. But, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about that, but I'm just bummed because I wanted to see the Foo Fighters, and I skipped out on it because I figured they would come back around, and that may not happen. And
you know what the rumor
Sure.
I heard was?
What was that?
Nirvana reunion.
Yeah, but who would they? How would they do that though?
Well, you would have the original members except for Kurt Cobain.
That's what I'm saying though. How would you go about doing that so it's not stupid?
Happens all the time, man. You've seen a lot of groups do it. You know,
yeah, but I feel like Dave Grohl would be smart enough where they wouldn't want to tarnish what they created. I mean, they did a fantastic job at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and I just think you leave it there.
Or Dave Grohl just really likes stupid money.
I mean, Dave Grohl's a talented. He's talented, over the moon talented. I mean, he's a fantastic person, fantastic musician, and you know, if he wants to move on from the Foo Fighters for a little while, you know, whatever. It is what it is, you know. I mean, I'm just bummed out about it because, like, you know, I really enjoy the Foo Fighters a lot, and to see them take an indefinite hiatus or break up just sucks. I mean, they're up for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2020 for the 2021 ceremony. So, you know, I mean, that's 5 years from now. So you would hope they don't take that much time off. But, you know, if it isn't working, you got to take some time off and get better for you and get back to why you did this in the first place.
Exactly. So
but we'll keep y'all posted on that too.
Let's talk about movies real quick.
Okay.
I went and saw Gods of Egypt last week.
Okay.
On Saturday. And you know what? I gotta say, it was actually a pretty good movie. I was expecting it to be really cheesy, but it was actually pretty good. And I'm saying all of this because I'm going to do something we haven't done in a while, and I'm going to say hello to someone. I'm going to say hello to Courtney Eaton, who played Zaya in Gods of Egypt. Yeah. Hi, Courtney. Thank you for being in Gods of Egypt, and thank you to the producers and the costume designers who dressed her throughout the whole movie. I truly, truly appreciate what you guys did.
Fair enough. I watched.
If you haven't seen Gods of Egypt, you should check it out.
I ended up watching Kingsman today, Secret Service. Been meaning to watch it for a while, and
that movie is beast.
It was fantastic, dude. It was so much fun to watch.
That's a very violent movie, but it was a very fun, good movie to watch. And what I liked about it was you saw Sam Jackson play a role that was hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Dad explained it to me before the movie. He just told me it was like a fun James Bond movie, and I was like, we'll see. And after, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It was the fight scenes are great. The story was hilarious. The way the movie ended was hilarious. the way that they told the story throughout the whole movie, just it flowed very well. It felt right. Everything felt good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I enjoyed that movie. I watched that closet.
Absolutely. I'm going to be watching Amy, the documentary about Amy Winehouse, coming up shortly, so we can talk about that. And going to be watching The Big Short too as well sometime soon, because I want to read that book. It was written by Michael Lewis, the man who wrote Moneyball, so I know it's going to be fantastic, and I know the movie's fantastic because I've read in a large amount of reviews of how good it is. But I am looking forward to seeing The Revenant. Whenever I get around to seeing it, I'm looking forward to it. I think it comes out in a couple weeks, actually.
I might wait till it goes to the... No, The Revenant's already out, bro.
On DVD?
Oh, you mean the DVD? Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I know a bunch of people who have seen it, and they've been highly disappointed, so I might wait till it's the dollar theater.
I'm just going to watch it. I've been told that it was a fantastic performance. It's a beautiful movie. The cinematography is fantastic as expected, but people were disappointed. I feel like there's a lot of hype. Didn't live up to the hype because it wasn't what people thought it was going to be or what they wanted it to be.
Right.
I mean, knowing the director from like Birdman, I kind of have an idea of what to expect and how it's going to be. So I may not be as disappointed as other people, but
yeah, but I heard it's not as crazy as Birdman was.
Well, from what I gather, the reason people are pissed off is because Leo won the Oscar, and congratulations, Leo DiCaprio, on winning the Academy Award. But if he ever listens to the podcast, congratulations, Leo. But it's one of those things. It's one of those things where, like, when scores, I keep telling this to everybody, and I feel like this is the best way to explain it, is when Scorsese won Best Picture for The Departed, and people got pissed about it. Yes,
well, that's because The Departed sucked.
The Departed was, I thought The Departed was a good movie, but here's the deal: it's nowhere near the best movie Martin Scorsese's ever made. The Revenant, from what I was told, was not a bad movie. It's just not one of the best Leo DiCaprio's ever done. If he was going to win the Oscar for something, he should have won the Oscar for something else. Scorsese, if he was going to win an Oscar, win it for something else. But
yeah, I did not like The Departed.
I enjoy it. I think it's just it's an out there kind of movie because everybody gets shot. Like I've noticed, everybody gets shot in the head. It's just. It's like I said, it's a fun movie. I enjoy watching that.
Now, if you want to see,
maybe I'll watch it again tonight.
If you want to see a good movie, bro, if you like The Departed, you should watch the movie that The Departed was based on.
We've talked about this before. Last time we talked about The Departed, you told me the same thing.
I think it's on Netflix, dude. So you should check it out.
Okay. If I remember, I will check it out.
I'm telling you, bro, it's a good movie.
Okay, that's fair. I might go watch The Departed now, just because. I mean, I'm probably gonna go read my book actually after I get off this podcast 81 and BLTD 81.
If you're gonna watch a movie, go watch Infernal Affairs.
Well, I was going to say I might go listen to some classical piano music and read my book because that's very relaxing. I like doing that. I also have to eat soon because I've got to take some more Sudafed. I'm feeling a little headache coming on. So this has been a good. What's up?
I just had some Mexican.
That's good. I had pizza for dinner and it was delicious. I had a bunch of chicken wings, but now I need to eat again so I can take pills because I'm not going to take pills on an empty stomach because then I'll feel horrible. But I have to try to feel better because I'm going back to work tomorrow. It's my day off was today. I've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I've got Sunday off. So got to try to feel better and go from there. I mean, that's really the goal. One thing you're going to want to keep an eye out for on television after Sabres games is keep an eye on my Twitter @WolfBLTD. If I'm at Sabres games, keep an eye out after the game on the post game. Just got an order of stickers in. For my mic flag. So you probably will be seeing BLTD on your television sometime very soon. Well, maybe not this season, but next season for sure. Got an order of 42 stickers for $20, which is pretty dope. I'm actually going to be...
I saw the picture you put up of the around the mic, the BLTD. That was pretty cool, bro.
Yeah, the mic flag. I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm actually going to probably get a board in the next couple months, a USB to an XLR to USB board, so we can do some live stuff. Sometime soon I want to get together with you and do a podcast, because I figured out now that I have the microphone and the adapter to the voice recorder, and I can get really crystal clear audio, or relatively crystal clear audio, on the microphone. So if maybe we sometime soon we can sit down and podcast, that'd be pretty dope too.
That'd be awesome.
Real quick before we go, I want to give a shout out to Dan Ross, Artisan Tattoos in Charlotte. Finished my bicep piece today. Yeah, how's it going? I saw you. He finished my bicep. Looks fantastic. I'm going back to get more stuff done soon. If you want to get tattoo work done, go to Dan Ross at Artisan in Charlotte. You will not be disappointed. Be very happy with the work he does. I've been going there since I turned 18, 24 now, so it's a couple of years. Had 13 tattoos done by Dan. Almost my entire left arm is done, and I've yet to be disappointed with the work that he does. So, board for Artisan Tattoo, but like I said, go there. It's fantastic. You will not regret it.
Yes, Dan does real good work.
With that being said, with that being said, follow us on Twitter at BLTD Sports. Check out BLTDsports.com. Check out the Extra Cast with me and Brayton discussing the NHL trade deadline, mostly about the Sabres and what the Sabres did or did not do and how that affects the future. But it's a good 18-minute piece, so I would certainly check that out if you get a minute. You can follow Perez on Twitter at MRLG Perez. Follow me on Twitter at WolfBLTD. Anything else you got? Anything else you got today, man?
No, man. They can come. I promote my Instagram too. Come follow me on Instagram, MRLG Perez. You
can follow me on Instagram at Wolfensteiner. Spelled as how it sounds. Pretty dope. I guess it's cool. I post a lot of cat pictures. But besides that, we are better live than dead.
You're not.
I want to say thanks for taking time out of your day to join us, whenever it may be. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us banter about sports and life and all that crap. Again, if there's anything you want to hear us talk about, anything you want to hear us discuss, hit us up on Twitter at WolfBLTD, at MRLG Perez, at BLTD Sports. Be more than happy to discuss it. But for now, we're going to take off. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.